Okay, good morning, everybody. What a beautiful morning, especially for me, okay, because my plan is actually going to, well, my plan is going to plan. Um, Essentially, what's happened is I have been getting a lot of hate lately, which is, and I'm not saying I wanted like hate necessarily, but I'm getting hate from people who I've never heard of, right? People who don't like, they don't know me. They've never met me. They've never seen me in person. They've just seen my videos and they don't like me. And I know I'm smiling right now, but it's like, that's kind of what I wanted from the beginning. Now, I'm not saying was trying to troll everybody, although it is trolling season. The reason I'm happy is because it means that like this show is fucking working to a certain extent. Like I know it's early days. It's been like a fucking year, but I guess it's early days. But like it's early days in terms of me actually doing a proper video every fucking week. Real thumbnail, fucking with the tripod and the lights and whatever, like microphones. Although I used to have a microphone, but still, it feels like it's actually working. So it feels like the hard work was worth it, you know. And yeah, I'm just like, and the thing is, right, this has happened a few times. Okay, so it used to be like, and funny enough, it's always girls for the most part. Like I know sometimes I get a little bit on like TikTok comments or whatever. Although technically it's not my channel, but it is a James Tayoro clips page, which is the only page of me on TikTok. But it's not me technically, but it's me, but it's not. Anyway, like there's been a few blokes commenting on that page, but for the most part it's girls, right? And it's weird because it's not like I'm saying anything like sexist or red pill. I'm not talking about dating. I'm not talking about loads of there's loads of things that I am not talking about which would trigger women. I'm not talking about abortion. I'm not talking about fucking dating, marriage, OnlyFans. I'm not talking about that stuff, right? They're just triggered by my, I guess you would say, lack of empathy. I don't know. Like for example, right? I remember when the first girl who ever put me on her story was a girl I didn't know. I think I've told this story before, right? But it was basically about dogs, right? The dogs were getting banned, and I basically, or some dogs in the UK, specific breed was getting banned, the XL bully, and then I basically said that nothing to do with the ban, though. I never called them to be banned or put down. I just said, to in a triggering, trolling way, I said that I'd rather, I think it was like 10,000 dogs get put down than one child get hurt, right? She obviously got triggered because of the timing of the story. She thought that it was to do with the ban. She thought I was calling for them to be banned, which I never did. Or maybe I did. I don't think I did. I know it's out there. If I did, it's on the internet. You can find it. Prove me wrong in the comments. But either way, like she put me on there. This guy's crazy. He's tapped, whatever the ghetto that means. And like she was an average looking girl, whatever. But now again, I've had it again this week. Like my friend put me on his story, and then you get some random girl who I've never heard of ever. I didn't even hear it. It didn't have it on Instagram, TikTok, none of this stuff. And she's messaged him saying, can't believe you've posted that guy on your story. He's vile. Vile's a word that's been going out around about me lately. I talk to people and they're like, oh, as soon as your name came up, it was like Hitler was in the room. And it's like, what have I actually said that's so bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're a tranny or some sad little lesbian, whatever, like, whatever, yeah? But even then, like, you can't be, like, you can be upset, but you can't say I'm vile. I've never said anything extreme. I've never said anything that, like, would get you arrested. Or maybe in the UK, but, like, I just say facts and with a bit of my opinion. So, like, you may not like that I'm laughing at some sad blue-haired tranny on TikTok who's living in cuckoo land, but it doesn't mean I'm like a bad guy. I'm just laughing. Like you would laugh at me. I'm sure a lot of you guys laugh at me for my views or whatever. So I'm just saying anyway. Okay, so guys, listen. Here is I'm going to now demonstrate exactly how I differ to the rest of the, I guess you would call it right wing political conservatives, whatever. Although a conservative in England is a party, so I wouldn't say I'm conservative necessarily. But here is why I'm different to everybody else. And this is where, in the long run, I'm going to earn the respect from people across all of the parties, right? Because story come out last night, and I am, or was it yesterday morning? Either way. And this is where I'm going to give Keir Starmer credit, which I never do, because until now I haven't seen a reason to. But I will give him credit because that's the type of guy I am. I am not a diehard, won't give credit to the opposition if they do something right, unlike the other people, right? Okay, now the best example for that would be like if you're in the United States, Donald Trump is probably looking like he's stopping both of the wars, and people still hate him. Where he could save a child from a burning building, the left won't give him any credit, right? Whereas I'm not like that. Okay, now I know the left in the UK would probably never give Nigel Farage any credit if he did anything. I mean, he literally, like, Nigel Farage could save a child from a burning building and die at the same time. They wouldn't give him credit. Whereas I'm going to give credit to Keir Starmer because he has done something that I've been calling for a long, long time. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm like in 100% agreement with what he's done, but I am like 95% with him, which is enough for me to give him a shout on the show because that's just the type of guy I am. So what he has done is Keir Starmer has announced that he will be cutting 40% of international aid that he is giving, that the UK is giving overseas. 40% of the money that we are sending overseas, we are keeping and we are spending on the UK military. Okay, so as a defense. He says this is because of a threat towards Russia. However, I guess I don't think that Russia's necessarily a huge threat to the UK, but I understand the positioning. Now, I'm going to quickly explain where I slightly disagree, but then I'm going to really give him his flowers on this one. So, what I disagree with is that the 40% that he's cut from international spending is that the whole thing has gone on to the military, right? Now, personally, I would say, maybe can you get like, maybe 5% of that 40%? Like, can you take some of that and, give it to the NHS or maybe just to help the economy a little bit? But then again, technically, there's been nothing to show that throwing money at the economy actually helps it. But I guess for the NHS purposes, I think maybe he could have spent some of that money on the NHS, the full 40% to go on to our defence. Maybe take some of that and give it to the NHS. But okay, the main priority is that he's taken it away from international spending. Now, again, we kind of disagree on why you would do that, but the fact is he's done it. And this is kind of where I think the most important word in politics, especially when it comes to like money being spent, comes into play here, and that is the C word. Okay, the C word or C word. I don't know which way you're going to see, and that is compromise. Okay, because which not enough people do because of their ego and because of their hatred and because they don't want to give any credit to the opposition to something they do well, or whatever. They just stand on a fucking dying hill with their position, and they don't compromise. And eventually, you don't get what you get if you don't compromise, right? Politics, the number one word is compromise, unless maybe you're talking about a dictator. You're not going to compromise and get a dictator, and you're not going to compromise. In my opinion, the only thing I wouldn't compromise is harming kids and transgendering children. But other than that, look, you're going to have to compromise for most things. So, like I said, stop giving the money overseas. He stopped. Well, he has, but he's cut it massively, right? Especially on the bullshit, which gives him a win. But I'll acknowledge the win because you have to remember, even though I don't necessarily agree with the guy, he's representing the country that I'm living in. So if he gets a win, I'm happy about it because it's a win for me in a way. Now, you could go into the ins and outs and say, well, he's already pledged $3 billion a year until to Ukraine for the next 100 years. If you remember, I ran that story. So you could say, well, that money's already locked in. He's probably locked in a load of money elsewhere. So it'll actually be interesting to see, like, the 40% that he is not giving overseas, who and which organizations are the ones not getting that? You know, is it like countries in the Middle East? Is it European countries? Is it like some African, like where he's taken that money from? I don't know. But the fact is, he's done it. You have to give him credit. You have to remove your the dislike that you have for Keir Starmer and the Labour government, and you have to say, okay, that wasn't bad. Like, I agree with you. Like, okay, maybe when you go into the fine details, we have a little bit of a disagreement, but generally speaking, we both agree. So, yeah, I just thought I'd say that. Because there's not enough of that. Now, don't get me wrong, it kind of has to be genuine. You can't just pretend to compromise, but, you know, you should, because we are meant to be the United Kingdom. So at a certain point, you have to unite. And that means if you disagree with someone, you know, you say, well done. It's no different to me not liking, like, okay, I'm an Arsenal guy, right? And I don't like, weird, I don't know why, but I don't like Liverpool, right? Don't like Liverpool. But if Liverpool play well, I'm going to say, oh, well done. Or if a Liverpool player does something incredible, I'm going to clap, because at a certain point you say, okay, that was good. You know, you don't pretend, like, it's like the Ronaldo haters who say that Ronaldo's bad because they don't like his personality, or he embarrassed them at Highbury, or whatever. Anyway, that's all I say about that. So, to move on to another story, right? I want to quickly go through a story that some of you, if you're a football guy, you would know this, right? It's the Jamie Carragher African Cup of Nations comment, Mo Salah, etc., etc. And I think that it's an interesting point that he's made. And Jamie Carragher, who, again, just like Keir Starmer, is a guy I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the things he says. I think he hates on Ronaldo for no reason. I think he bigs up Mo Salah too much, trying to claim that he's better than Ronaldo and Henry. Crazy stuff. But very, very good pundit, one of the best pundits out there right now. And he's getting a bit of stick because he basically made a comment, which I'll play for you, right? Okay, guys, before I show you this clip, it's important to know that this is the only video that I could put that wouldn't get copyrighted on YouTube, because Sky Sports have been, trying to hide the original clip of Jamie saying what he said. So this is one, the quality is really, really bad, but listen, it's all I can show you, best I could do. At the time of recording, I didn't realize that the original clip, I wouldn't be able to show you. So this is the clip, best quality I could show you. There it is.
I think the fact he's probably with Egypt and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance of winning. I think it's either the Champions League or the major tournament. Normally the player who excels in that. You're looking at sort of Vinny Jr. and Mbappe right now, Real Madrid looking really good going for the Champions League. Liverpool will be in that conversation. But right now, he's certainly the front runner. And Roy, what you've just said there in terms of getting maybe more trophies and league titles, that could actually put him above probably Kenny Dalglish and Steven Gerrard in sort of where he ranks in terms of Liverpool legends, because I think right now he's right on their shoulders.
Just say AFCON is a major tournament, because a lot of people are a bit saying people not taking that. Say AFCON is a major tournament, just so you don't.
No, well, Egypt are not going to win the World Cup, are they?
No, but AFCON is big, wasn't it? Remember when him and Mane was going for it? And I'm just saying AFCON.
It's a fact. You're in your place.
Okay, so basically, and look, by the way, I like the two gentlemen to his left. I like all three of them. Roy Keane didn't really say much, but I like Michael Richards. I like Daniel Sturridge. I used to love Sturridge when he was a player, but like, Jamie Carragher is actually right, and he's getting a lot of stick. Basically, people are trying to say that you don't think African Cup of Nations is a big tournament and this and that. It's like, that's not the point he was making, right? What he's making is the point that if Mo Salah wins the Premier League and the African Cup of Nations, yet Vinny Jr. or Mbappe or Bellingham or someone from Real Madrid wins La Liga and the Champions League, or even if Yamal from Barcelona did that, whilst also putting up pretty good numbers, well then would the Champions League outweigh the African Cup of Nations? And I would probably say yes, right? And I actually don't mind the African Cup of Nations. I actually think it's quite entertaining. Right? I think I watched it last time. I used to watch it all the time. But I mean, I'm a football guy, so I used to watch everything that you could watch, anything on TV, right? But he's right, and he's not being offensive. It's not part of a bigger issue with the African Cup of Nations. It's just that people don't see it as big as other things, right? But we don't see the Italian league as big as the Premier League, right? We don't. We don't see the Copa America as big as the Euros because we're in Europe, and like the Ballon d'Or is yes, it's actually I don't know if it's still a FIFA award. It might be France Football now, but either way, the award is in Europe. Okay, like anything European is going to give you a bigger chance to win it. It's going to be seen as more valuable. And in terms of the African Cup of Nations, it's just the way it's always been. We don't see the, like for example, if you were in Saudi and you won the Saudi League, and then you won the Asian Champions League, and then you also went and won, the Euros. They're not going to see you as a Ballon d'Or winner. Shit, you go to Saudi and you barely get picked for your country anymore unless you're Ronaldo. So this idea that somehow the African Cup of Nations should be put on the same level as the Euros, it's like, well, no, because we don't do that for anything. The same reason we put the World Cup above the Euros as well. I mean, we put the World Cup above the Euros. We just do. So why wouldn't we put the Euros above the African Cup of Nations? Especially seeing as the Euros has been a very big tournament. And if you're in if you're in Europe, obviously you're going to see that. People in Africa, I'm sure, see the African Cup of Nations bigger. People in Chile see South America, see the Copa America as bigger. Right, but there's people just attacking and this and that. And look, Rio Ferdinand, I love Rio Ferdinand. I think he's a great player, and I watch his show all the time. I think it's a very good podcast. Him and that guy, what's his name, Jewel or whatever. And Steve. But when these people are attacking him, saying he's had some he hasn't said anything wrong. Like, this is the woke mob just ramming down the throat. It's like, so what? Like, it's not as big. Well, yeah, exactly. Say the same thing about the German league. Say the same thing about the Spanish league. We'd say the same thing about an African league. So what? Because of the African Cup of Nations? Because of no. Okay, I think it is a major tournament, but there's still a hierarchy in major tournaments. The same way you have cup competitions, but the FA Cup is bigger than the Carabao Cup. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And if people don't like that, well then stop crying, stop thinking. Like, let's be real. It's because Africa is full of black people and they think that he's being offensive to the black people. And it's like, it should be watched. Like, you can't force people to love a competition. End of. You can't. You cannot force people to love a competition. Okay? There's just the same way there's bigger football clubs. Manchester United is the biggest football club in England. Even though it's not doing well, it's still the biggest club. Like, things take time to build, and in football, you can't fake that shit. So, yeah, Jamie Carragher, I fucking stand with you, brother. Although a lot of the things you say are fucking shit. But I'm done with football anyway, because Liverpool fucking gonna win the league. In fact, my comments on Liverpool, Jamie Carragher I'm sticking up for Jamie Carragher, but he probably wouldn't stick up for me. if the video I made last week, which is what triggered a load of girls about Liverpool and Liverpool fans, he probably wouldn't stick up for me, but it is what it is. But again, that's why I'm a bigger person than 99% of the people on the internet. I just stuck up for Keir Starmer. I just stuck up for Jamie Carragher. Both of them would leave me out to dry. They would leave me on the fucking street dying if my fucking videos were blown up, which hopefully they will. With your help, they will. But yeah, listen, guys, that is today's updates. So I've got a funny video coming out soon, guys. Please like this video and subscribe to it. I need some more views because the algorithm, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm sure you know how it works by now. The more interaction, the more it's going to go on to people who don't subscribe or type my name in. It's going to go onto their feeds, and yeah, I need that shit. So yeah, go watch all this shit. Let's fucking get it. Let's make some fucking money, as it is 9 a.m, so the day has begun officially. So yeah, guys, I'll see you next time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.